You know, I feel like I get asked this question a lot. What is it like to be a woman in the camera department? I can tell you a story.
I remember this vividly. Riverside International Raceway. And this guy just center punches me into the wall. If fear is primary in your mind, you don't want to do this thing because you're going to end up getting hurt.
I think you could take a woman in a motorcycle and a woman with a camera and see a lot of similarities. My name is Haley Watson. I am the director, producer, and cinematographer of Motorcycle Mary. I had always been interested in the arts, but I come from a place that maybe doesn't always encourage those types of things. I lived in rural Eastern Washington for college. I went to the volunteer section of Craigslist. Yes, Craigslist. There was one posting, and it was for a producer's assistant on an independent feature film. Until that moment, I didn't really have a path forward, but when that presented itself, I decided that this is what I was gonna do.
Always say yes if somebody asks you to go somewhere or do something. Yes.
Eventually made my way to Los Angeles. I started working in the camera department, became the cinematographer. The amount of times that people come up to me and say, you're the first AC that I've met that's a woman, or you're the first female DP that I've ever worked with. I think that kind of speaks to a larger, like, this isn't common, it's not expected. I wanted to change that.
I don't know if I thought they would let me race or not. I was the first woman.
Eventually, I started working at Breakwater Studios. Within Breakwater, there's a group formed called Currents that supports underrepresented directors and filmmakers. I just realized that there were stories I wanted to be able to tell. And then through a series of searches, I found Mary's story on a Wikipedia page.
Come to find out, I was the first person to ride the Baja 500 solo. Not woman, but person.
All of these accomplishments, and I have no idea who this person is. So then I found her on Facebook. A day one supporter was our producer, Rachel Greenwald.
It was very clear from the beginning between Haley and I's partnership that we wanted to tell a female story with Motorcycle Mary. It took me and Haley looking at each other and being like, let's just get in the car and go do it.
Holy shit. Oh, this is gonna be a really good adventure. And oh my goodness, was it ever.
As soon as we walked through that door and met Mary in person and we saw her big smile and then turn the corner and see the garage.
We're facing toward the back where you can see the bikes and the tools, and I'm kind of shoved in the corner off to the side. We were delivered a treasure trove of archive, 7,000 feet of archival film that had never been scanned. And while I was doing an interview with Mary, Rachel was going through the archive, finding additional stories.
It was like one of those moments where Haley and I looked at each other and were like, oh, this was the right choice.
If you were to see Mary in a crowd, she's kind of that unassuming 80-something-year-old who is just laughing and having a good time, but she's a badass in her own way.
I do know one funny story. Oh, I think it's funny.
We interviewed Mary for a long time. It just became kind of a glorified hangout. After the first day, I think we had been together for like 5 hours, and she's like, that's it.
Mary McGee and two other women take up the challenge of the road to La Paz.
We were just two ladies telling a story about a woman athlete, like what a dream come true.
They didn't know what to think about me. I wasn't their sister. I wasn't their mother. And I wasn't their girlfriend. So, like, what do they do?
Mary, who is a woman in motorsports, and myself and other women who are filmmakers or maybe in a male-dominated space, I think it's encouraging to see stories like this so that there's a path forward.
That's probably the thing I'm proudest about, that I had something to do with showing women that they could come out and race motorcycles.
I'm not gonna tailor myself to fit into these spaces. That bravery and courage to be like, I'm gonna be exactly who I am. As a mom of two daughters, I'm excited that I could tell a story like this.
To me, you're participating in life. That's what I think.
Obviously, she's had a huge impact, and it's been super positive. And I take a lot of inspiration from Mary because she's not apologetic about who she is.
Now we have the ability to have her make an impact on even more women and more people, especially for young girls, despite it being maybe a male-dominated space. Just do it. say yes, go do that thing, and don't worry about everyone else.
Stay calm. Twist the throttle.